All right, good morning, everyone. Katie Hartling with Walmart Stores. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the current vice chair of our home office, Bentonville, Arkansas Associate Resource Group. So we don't use ERG or BRG, we use ARG for Associate Resource Group. And we're excited to present it Out and Equal this year. Thanks for having us, Madeline. We're going to go ahead and jump in and get started. So the point of this presentation is how we're creating impact beyond the home office. So we're going to go through, maybe. All right, there we go. We're going to go through who we are as Walmart and as an associate resource group, our U.S. associate resource group structure, push versus pull, when and why, and then sharing the wins throughout our organization. I apologize if you hear my cat in the background. He's friendly, so just pretend like it's part of the plan. All right, so who we are. So Walmart US, we're talking about the US-based business. We have approximately 1.5 million associates, scattered over 5,400 stores, give or take. Adding into that is our supply chain facilities or distribution centers. The cat's cheering me on. Yeah, he's not in the office. He's in the other room, friend. Sorry. So our supply chain facilities, and then all of our offices scattered throughout the U.S. So we have three main large office hubs. We have one in California, one in Arkansas, and then one in New Jersey. And then we have other office hubs throughout the United States, but those are the three large ones where we have associate resource groups built in. So when we look at 1.5 million associates and driving inclusion and driving, celebrating belonging across that quantity of folks can be difficult. So our US ARG structure, so we have an executive sponsor that we share, and then we have those three hubs I talked about. So in West Coast, we have San Bruno, California. We have our home office here where I'm at in Bentonville, Arkansas, and we have our East Coast hub in Hoboken, New Jersey. And so each of these hubs have an ARG leadership structure from 5 to 10 folks. And then we have local officer sponsors in each hub. You'll notice missing from here is all of those 5,400 facilities out in the field, and those distribution centers and supply chain facilities. So 30 people versus 1.5 million can be difficult. All right, our ARG platform, our pillars, are we have developed the associate, advance the business, and connect and build community. And we focus a lot in our ARG through all three of these. And what we're going to talk about today is how we're connecting and building a community for our associates out in the field. So there's 1.5 million associates that are working in stores, facilities. They're not working from home right now. They're out there helping run the world. Cool. So for this year, for June, we did a different thing for us. We did a unified pride approach. So we took our three ARG hubs. We had weekly calls for a few months leading up to June, and we brought in leaders from a lot of the markets in the U.S. that have been active in Pride parades or been active in Pride celebrations in their stores and markets. And so we brought them in and said, hey, what do you want to see? So rather than just pushing out content to them, we said, hey, what do you want to see? How can we help you? What excitement do you want from us? As well as here's what we want to do in our own local areas. Of course, we were planning this working from home, knowing it would all be virtual, and so folks from across the country could plug in. We had some representatives from our India office plug in, and we participated with some of their stuff. So it was an exciting way to really do kind of an enterprise-wide unified Pride approach, which we haven't had the opportunity to do before. So you'll see a few of the events that we put on this year from a unified Pride approach. And so we had interactions from all three ARG hubs, so the whole East Coast to West Coast in Central Arkansas, or Central America. And yeah, and then we had store associates and store managers, leaders in the stores plug into that. A lot of these events we recorded and made available for, if they wanted to share it, go over it with their own markets, they could. So not pushing it to them, but saying, hey, what do you want to see? And then here's where it's available on demand for you, where it fits in your schedule, knowing that the schedules for the folks that work in our stores don't align with the schedules for the folks that work in the offices as far as availability. Cool. So push versus pull, when and why. So we wanted to give our field associates the ability to do their own thing. We don't want to just say, here's what we're doing. Yeah, it's fine if you take screenshots. The information is not confidential, so you can take screenshots. I can upload the presentation to the attachment after the meeting also, so no problem there. Yeah, keep dropping your questions in the chat. Madeline Mountain Equal is gonna gather them together for me, and then we'll get to them. I got a spot at the end we can go through them. I just kind of want to have some open dialogue there. So keep dropping them in there. I'm not ignoring them, but we'll get to them. Awesome. Cool. So we wanted to give our folks in the field the opportunity to really own their celebrations or their education or what's going on in their markets. We don't want them to feel like we're just throwing it out there where they have to take it in and they can only deal with what we have, right? We talked earlier about how there's, 15 to 30 of us as far as ARG leaders. Now we have larger interactions with that, of course. We have more folks in our organizations who are active in our associate resource group. But as far as leaders and really planning the events and digging into the details and going through all the hoops, it's about 15 or 30 of us. So when you look at that across 5,400 plus facilities throughout the US, it's not feasible. So we just wanted to give them the tools where they can put on events, they can put on trainings, so they can celebrate their associates in any way without us having to shove it to them. So we want them to pull from us as much as possible. And then we put some stuff out there to push to them that's there on demand for them to access. So we have a branded event planning guide. So it's, hey, here's how you order t-shirts. Here's the contacts. So it's one sheet on our intranet site, one landing page. Here's who you can order t-shirts from with our current branded Pride logo for this year. Here's how you can get a banner if you're in a parade. Here's how you can reach out to the merchants if you want certain items. Sorry, the chat's distracting me. Do you have more questions? Do you need more info? Here's our contact at our sign shop, our internal sign shop. Here's how to reach out to us. Then we have a central contact for all requests. So we have an email address, pride@wall-mart.com, that comes directly to the home office associate resource group leaders. And so we field all those. So if they have questions about event planning, if they have questions about, hey, I have an associate who came out and, I just would like some more training to give to the team, or how can I connect them with you all? How can I connect with an HR leader who is, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, so how can we connect them with, a benefit specialist who knows the ins and outs of it? How can we connect them with the policy, who maintains the policy on the transition guidelines, right? So we have those connections, and so they don't have to try and reach out to everyone in the office and figure it out and hunt them down. They can come to one contact, and then we can help make those connections for them, saving them a lot of time and effort. So then we have swag kits. We have a Pride in a Box, so it's got that branded event planning guide sheet printed out in it, which shows them how to order t-shirts and all that. We have branded rainbow balloons to celebrate in the store. We had sunglasses, stickers, pins, temporary tattoos, all sorts of stuff. So the stores can literally order that. And then they have a kit that's branded Walmart Pride that they can go and celebrate. Whether they're doing that in the store, outside of the store, it's there. It's easy for them. They don't have to track it down on their own. This year we launched pronoun pins. I thought I had one on my desk, but I don't. So we launched pronoun pins. And one of the key initiatives we wanted to do when we launched pronoun pins for name badges is we wanted to make sure that they were available to our field associates, to the folks in the stores. And so one way we were able to do that is we have a signing catalog where stores can go in and order signs for the store. Not a revolutionary idea there, right? But we added the pronoun pins to there. So it's an easy place for the store to order them. They can order them as many times as they want. We have different size kits for the different size stores that we have. And then associates don't have to go out and spend their own money on them. They don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get it added. It's there. We put them on cards. You'll see a photo later in the thing. Put them on cards that talked about why pronouns are important to talk about in the workplace. We have a landing site or internet hub for exactly pronouns that gives us more detailed information. So if folks have questions, they want to educate their stores or their leaders or anybody in their organization on it, all of that information is there and ready for them. And then each pin is on that card. So all that information is on the card. So as you hand them out in your store, as you say, hey, I want a pronoun pin, can you order these in the store? Store orders them. When folks have questions, when other associates have questions, they get that pin, it tells them all that information. So nobody has to explain it to them. They can learn it at their own pace. And then if they have more questions, it can open those dialogue and those conversations. And then in our home office associate resource group leadership team, we actually, most of our associates, our ARG is US focused. So our home office focus is for our Bentonville, Arkansas office, but we have a field associate lead that we added. And so the person that's in that right now is our friend Kathy, and she sits in an HR role in Miami. And so she's out there in the field connecting with the associates in the stores every day and can really help connect with what's going on there, what's going on at the office, and tie that together. Give us a representation of here's the questions I'm hearing in the field, here's what they want from us. I myself spent about 17 years with Walmart, 14 and a half of those were in the field, so working in stores, traveling. So I'm intimately aware with the differences in what it's like to celebrate and to feel belonging in the stores in the field and what it's like in an office. All right, sharing the wins, exciting stuff. So again, we have Facebook by Workplace by Facebook. So we use that as it's an intranet site. We have a Pride group there. So folks can come, they can share their events, they can share their photos. And then we are able to connect our social media and marketing teams with what we had going on in the office, what we had going on in our stores and our field associates throughout the month, and then really throughout the year, so they can key in on that. So we're going to go through just a couple examples of what we got going on. So here's from our intranet site. So we've got on the left there, we've got Region 64 celebrating. So across, again, this is June this year. So we've got masks, we've got celebrations in the store because we know Prides were canceled. On the right, this is a store in California. They built a float in their store, so they couldn't do Pride. So they did an in-store float, which is super fun. We had quite a few of those that we saw across the country, where stores either held a Pride parade with shopping carts in the store, or they built a float and had celebrations there and really got to engage with their associates and their customers in celebrating Pride. Yeah, so Sam's Club got into fun. We don't want to leave Sam's Club out. Talk a lot about Walmart, but Sam's Club's there too. So here's our Sam's Club marketing social media team going on about they're celebrating Pride in Michigan. And then again, and here's a different store in California. a lot of stores in this market and region did in-store pride floats, which was fun, and they did kind of a competition to show each other off. All right, so here's on the left here is our pronoun pin cards. So this is one of our academy teams out in California, and they're showing off their pronoun pins, and that's a picture of the card. I can upload a copy of that. I have a copy of that, so I can upload a copy of that into the session details so you all can see what we have there. And then we have a quick landing page for our associates. So it's wmlink/pronouns, easy to remember. And then on the right here, we have Walmart World it's an internal magazine that's been in production for as long as I've been with the company. And so I took these screenshots yesterday, so they don't have their June Pride picture ID yet, but they were able to celebrate this. So this is on Instagram and Facebook. So this went out to the whole, it wasn't just internally, it was everywhere, but it's a social media account directed at internal associates. And then on the right, we have Walmart Radio in our stores, and Donovan from a store called in and gave a shout out to his boyfriend, which is super sweet. And then they played it on the internet and gave him a Facebook post, which was awesome. I think that might have been the first same-sex shout out on Walmart since we brought Walmart Radio back. It's the first one I've heard, and it really just touched my heart to see Donovan be celebrated, for him to be celebrated. All right, so here's another Pride Parade in store. There's a float. I thought I had some photos of an in-store. I don't have any in here. So we had a market in, I don't remember what state, and they did an in-store Pride Parade. So they took shopping carts and they dressed all the shopping carts up, and then they did a parade around the main loop in the store, and it was really cute. So, oh, Linda, Dumas, Texas. Yeah, that's awesome. It's a small town, so it's good to see our associates celebrated. Yeah, so we get another Pride float there, associates celebrating, and then on the right, one of our markets in Colorado, they've been active in their Pride scene for quite a while, and so they had a Pride celebration out in front of their store. All right, I know we've got some questions. I'm going to scroll back up in the chat and start from the top because I know there was quite a few. Give me a second. Maybe. Everyone checking in where they're from. Before you roll out Queerios, did you do educational material on the term queer? We discussed it. So that was an event put on by our East Coast team in New Jersey, and I know they discuss it in their conversations with their folks. I believe there is some conversation around it. I didn't attend that event, but there was conversation around it in the beginning of the event and kind of how that works. I personally identify as queer, so it's a conversation I have frequently. Our goal is, I don't assume what people identify as, right? This isn't groundbreaking anyone here, but when you talk to folks who aren't as intimately connected to our community, I identify as queer, you can call me as queer, don't call other people queer, right? If you're talking about our community, it's the LGBTQ community, unless you're part of the community and are intimately involved in it. Lots of outside resources. You have to jump through any hoops to get corporate to okay these speakers and connections. Yeah, so we have really great relationships with our public relations folks. And then we have, we have Out Nickel, we have People Like National, we have Mr. Bob Wittick that we used as advisors. So we connect with those resources through them mostly. We do have to get that stuff approved through our legal team and through our culture, diversity, and inclusion team. But again, our ARG sits under our culture, diversity, and inclusion team as far as that structure. So we work together. It takes lots of planning, so it's not something that we can throw together last minute. but it takes lots of planning, and we do have to get approvals, but I wouldn't say that there's tons of hoops. Every now and then there'll be something that maybe is a little bit risque for Walmart standards, and so you have to go through some more conversations there, but we didn't have any problems getting any of those connected. Thanks for the question, Chris. Jenny, what type of impact did you have for your associates on the floor and not in an office setting? What seemed to be the most impactful? What seemed the least impactful for those on the floor? Yeah, so I think the most impactful is giving them the tools to do what they wanted to do. I apologize. That was bad. So giving them the tools that they wanted to do. We want them to own what's going on in their facility. We don't want it to be pushed from us. So a lot of the educational resources that we do, the educational events that we do, we record, and so they can watch them on demand. So if they want to do that educational resource, if we have a PFLAG National Educational event, we record it, and then if they want to have that conversation and they want to go through that, they can do it when it fits in their schedule. They can plan a day to do it, and then we, as the Associate Resource Group, will say, hey, if you have questions, if you want some folks to answer some questions, we're here. We can jump on a short panel or jump on a Zoom call and answer those questions for you, have those deeper conversations, since we're intimately involved in that inclusion process for them. The least impactful, I think, when we force things to them. The first year we did the Pride in a Box kits, we sent them out to stores that we knew had participated in events. And that was great. And then we had a bunch of other stores reach out and say, hey, I want that. And that was more impactful for them, I think, to be able to say, hey, give me it. I want it. This is awesome. You know, going into a facility and having a pronoun pin on or having a pride pin as somebody who worked in facilities outside the office. The first time I saw somebody with a pride pin on, I was like, I didn't know that existed and I belong now. It made me feel better. When I traveled to stores, I would wear a pride pin, and I'd keep bags of them in my briefcase. And every time that somebody asked about it, I'd take it off my name badge and give it to them and put a new one on. I think the most impactful is giving them the ability to do what they want to do, giving them the guide rails, but not telling them, here's what we're doing, you need to fall in line, but saying, how do you want to feel belonging? How do you want to educate the folks in your area? How do you want to celebrate? How did you manage the field being able to join a parade? Did it need approvals on some level for Walmart to show up locally? Thanks for the question, Nate. We have those folks go through their market and regional teams, and they connect with, so each store has a donation budget, a associate relations budget, a community budget, separate budgets, and then each market does too, and then each region. So a lot of our stores participate, they'll get their market together and participate in a parade. I know when I lived in Central Florida, we participated in Orlando Pride quite often in October. And so it was, I lived closer to Tampa, but it was the market and kind of the region of folks would get together and say, hey, we want to do this. And so we'd all get together. So there'd be a lot of us. So they have, you know, PR contacts, they have, you know, human resources, they have to sign waivers, you know, that we have all of that in that branded guide event kit. Here's who you need to contact. If you have questions, we can help you contact with public relations to make sure all those approvals are done. So yes, there are approvals. It's not wild. And again, the market and regional folks are very involved in supporting those associates and what they want to do and making sure they can have it for them. Yeah, so Jenny asked, how do you promote your associate resource group to ensure that employees on the floor and not in an office know how to use your tools and know that it exists? So this year, we made a big push, Jenny, with our Walmart World campaign. So we had we connected with them in social media and then in their printed magazine that goes out to the stores and the facilities to engage in that, hey, Pride exists, we're here. So our associate resource group has been around for almost 15 years. I want to say it's 15 years-ish, I believe. I think this is our 16th year attending Out and Equal. So it's been around long enough that it's out there. We work with our HR teams to educate our regional teams and our market teams, and then the store teams on, hey, we're here as a resource. If you have associates that have questions, if you have folks that need help, eventually all those meeting planners will stop popping up. We're here and we want you to know, we want them to belong. So we have a good relationship with one of our teams that's technically home office based, but has folks scattered throughout the country. And they do new stores, remodels, relocations in our facilities. And so we have a good relationship with them. That's a division I came out of for many years. They hit a lot of stores every year. And so getting the pins and the swag into their hands where folks in the stores can notice it really makes a difference. Yeah, so we have a couple questions about the pronoun pin cards. That was a big thing we wanted to roll out. So we worked hard with our CDI, Culture, Diversity, and Inclusion team, when we decided we wanted to push pronoun pins. We went through a bunch of different, image choices. We wanted it to be fun, but we didn't want it to be like just party. We wanted it to be professional too. We wanted it to be a little bit of both. So the ones we initially rolled out, one second. I got a bag of them. So we've got ask me my pronouns. I don't know if y'all can see that. And then we have ones that say she, her, he, him, they, them, and they're our associate brand Spark. That's what we call our logo. So here's a he, him one. Not a she, her, or would have worn them today. Here's a he, him one. So we wanted these ones, the ones we initially rolled out, to be fun and but branded and for folks to feel comfortable and not feel like there has to be a party. We've rolled out since then for purchase. We've rolled out different fun ones. Of course, folks can have other pins. Pin trading is a big thing in the Walmart world, Walmart land. If you weren't aware, if you're not an associate. Yeah, so we wanted those pronouns pins as we rolled them out. We wanted to give folks the tools where anybody felt comfortable talking about it. So even if you don't feel the most educated on it, there's those talking points on that card that gives it to you, and it's easy to go with. All right, Madeline, ping me if I'm missing any questions. Seth, I know we had some distribution centers participate in Pride activities in their areas. I didn't get any photos of them. So. Yeah, so Chase asked, you mentioned the pronoun cards were a part of the Academy program. He's familiar with that as your training development plan for associates. Can you talk about how you worked with leadership to get exposure for ARG or LGBTQ plus education into onboarding and development programs like that? So the pronoun cards aren't part of our Academy program. We have an Academy in California that we have those pictures from, that one of their leaders is non-binary and really pushed it with their Academy. Now, as far as our onboarding program, so our onboarding program we do at the office level, we do discuss all of the ARGs. One of our former Pride ARG leaders is one of the main onboarders for our home office division. And so it's very Pride branded on when we have in-office onboarding. In our stores, we talk about the ARGs. It's available on our intranet site. So there's landing pages there. It comes up quite often, it scrolls by in the header and all that. So we give folks visibility to it. But you also share a list again of the items in your branded event planning toolkit. Yeah, so we have the home office contacts to order banners if you're doing Pride parades or if you just want a banner to hang up. So it's got our Pride branded logo. It's got, our associate resource group information. It's got how to order t-shirts, how to order the Pride in a Box kits, who to contact for those public relations questions on getting involved in your Pride parades. All of that information, who to contact if you have, do you want to have a speaker? Do you want to connect with somebody at the office? All of those contacts are there. Yeah, can you please give an example of a concrete virtual action beyond the home office? Sure thing. So one thing we're really proud of this year that we did, I'm going to go back a few pages. So this one is on this right over here. So we have the intersectionality of faith in the LGBTQ plus community. My friend Lisa Carver is going to do a presentation on that this evening. I think it's at 5 Central. Don't quote me on that one. And so we partnered with Daniel Carslake and did a complimentary screening of For They Know Not What They Do, which was his follow-up film to For the Bible Tells Me So. And we made that available to all of our salaried leaders across the country. We put it out there on our workplace site. We couldn't get legal approval to make it available to hourly associates in the field just because of labor laws. So we fell behind on that one and we didn't have enough time to get all that cleaned up. But we made that available. And then we did complimentary screening. We did over a weekend, a 4-day period. So folks could watch it, whatever shifts they worked, whatever hours were available to them. And then we partnered with our interfaith ARG and did a panel on the intersectionality between faith and LGBTQ plus community. And then again, we recorded that session and made it available so that those leaders in the field could have those conversations and can educate themselves and their teams. Lisa's very passionate about that subject. It's one that in our community we get overlooked a lot, and we know it can be a touchy subject. So that was a big win for us to have a real conversation interacting between our interfaith ARG, our Pride ARG, and the leaders throughout our company. Yeah, so our Facebook Pride group isn't managed by your ERG group or your company's social media team. So it's actually on Workplace by Facebook, which is like a private Facebook. It's not regular Facebook. So Walmart has its own Workplace by Facebook site. It's totally doesn't connect to regular Facebook for any of these profiles or anything. And so you can only log into it with your Walmart email address. So it's very just company focused, and so that's where that Pride group is. How do you engage resources outside of the associate resource group? So corporate communications, HR, marketing, legal. Do they support at the hub level or coordinate primarily at the higher level? They support hub level. Most of those divisions aren't spread through the hubs like that. So they're a higher level, they're based at, a lot of them are based out of Bentonville, but they support everywhere. So we just feed into that kind of like a larger hub. And so we connect everybody there. Yes, yes, the 2020 Unified Pride approach that we're looking at here. Of course, the virtual coffee chat, it's a meet and greet. That one wasn't recorded. These Out as a Leader series were recorded. I don't believe the wine tasting was recorded. The Queerios was recorded. The Career Spotlight panel. I don't think drag makeup was recorded because it's interaction. Alshep training, and then our pronoun pin launch. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of great engagement on the intranet site. How do you drive this engagement? Do you incentivize people at all? So we don't really incentivize them, just basic social media interaction, talking to them, saying, hey, what's going on in your area? Show us what's going on. We want to be excited for you. And then we can take that and we can present it to our merchants. We can present it to our leadership and say, hey, the field is asking for more. Walmart's piloting associate resource groups in our fields, in the field. So we're piloting that with a couple groups. Pride is one of them. So we're working through the details on it. When everything shut down with COVID and we had to kind of refocus intent with just had to refocus supply chain issues, store customer counts were up, sales were up, traffic was up. We didn't want to force a lot of that in the stores in March and April, and so we work closely with our CDI team, but we're piloting associate resource groups in the field, looking at what structure works best for them, how they feed into what we do in the office, how that all interconnects. Wes, Plant City, born and raised. Brandon, Zephyr Hills. I see you, buddy. Okay, do you have one large budget to cover this? So the stores each have their own budgets. Each hub in the home office associate resource groups, we get our own budget to cover things. The pronoun pins, we got pushed into the signing budget. So that's just part of the store's normal signing, how they get billed for signage across their whole store. So it doesn't hit their bottom line in like a big chunk, like it would if they were ordering it from a special company. We produce those in-house. And so being able to order that through their signage, it makes it very low cost for our stores. Am I missing any other ones? I'm trying to find them. Sorry, y'all, it keeps jumping on me. Okay, Madeline's given them to me. Thank you. Can I share the materials you use for the intersectionality of faith in the LGBTQ community? Yeah, so Daniel Carsleep is who we interacted with that. He's got some great films. So for The Bible Tells Me So, and then the one he released this year is for They Know Not What They Do. Around the, both of those are mostly around Christian faith. We interacted with our interfaith group on that to talk about, as we know, that conversation goes beyond the Christian faith, right? We want it to be inclusive with our Muslim community. We want it to be inclusive, and so we have that interaction with our interfaith community. I don't have a lot of materials on that, mainly because we watched the film, and then we did a panel on it where we talked to Daniel, we talked to folks, some of the folks from the film, and had that conversation. For the external Facebook channel, any best practices around moderator settings, control of content that you leveraged? Honestly, we have a whole social media team, not surprising, 1.5 million associates that manages that. We did discuss before it launched, hey, we want to make sure that as we feature associates, that our individual associates aren't being attacked, right? So we want to control that conversation. And honestly, the excitement and the happiness from both our customers and our associates way outweighed any negative comments. But I know that I don't have any personal best practices for you. So to control the content that we leverage, we just made sure that it was people focused, and then we celebrate our associates through there. The 3 pillars of our ARG are develop the associate, advance the business, and connect and build community. I'll leave that slide up for a minute for y'all. Yeah, how does Walmart handle or respond to protesting or counter pride demonstrations at your stores? Customer complaints about pride decorations and associates. Counter protesting, most of it's private property. That's an easy one. We ask folks to be respectful of what we have going on and to leave the premises if necessary. Customer complaints about pride decorations and events. We always tie it back to our basic beliefs at Walmart. And one of those is respect for the individual. And so we want to respect our associates. We want to celebrate our associates, and that includes all of them. That includes their entire self. And so part of their identity, whether that's their sexuality or their gender identity, that's included, and we want them to be celebrated and included. I can't share a copy of the event planning guide. I can see if I can pull some stuff out of it and upload it, but I'll have to double check with our CDI team and make sure what I share is approved, if you know. What type of topics do you talk about during the coffee chats? Just meet and greet about employees, or are there other topics? So we cover, meet and greet, tell us who you are, where you're from. We've done coming out stories to connect with folks. We do like the what's your worst, what's your secret passion, what's the thing you're most ashamed of that you like, band wise or food wise. What support does Walmart give to stores in more conservative areas where employees might not feel comfortable reaching out to set up their own events and celebrations? So we let those associates, even if they don't want to celebrate, in their store, they can celebrate in our internet site. They can connect with us. They can attend these events. We provide policy confirmation. We provide, what's the word I'm looking for here? So most of our stores are in the South. We participate without an equal in the Southern States Initiative. Last year, hopefully we'll do it again this year, but most of our stores are in the South. So when you say conservative areas, I'm taking that as a lot of the South. As someone who's born and raised in Central Florida, I currently live in Arkansas, I'm familiar with it. We have a lot of stores that participate in small rural towns and rural prides. We have a group in Knoxville, Tennessee that participates every year, which makes me happy. So we support there just by being there. If the employee doesn't feel comfortable reaching out, I can't reach out for them, right? But we can say, hey, Walmart's here, we exist. By putting it on our public social media channels, it lets them connect and know, hey, at least I can belong here. My personal goal in my ARG work is I want to make Walmart a better place for the queer kid in rural America that got hired yesterday that doesn't want to be out. I know one locally to me that I interact with, works in a small store, was nervous about, hey, what happens if somebody is hateful to me at work? What happens if it's a customer? What happens if it's somebody I work with? And so my entire goal is to making it okay for that kid, no matter what town they're in. Yeah, and Madeline just dropped the Southern Forum, Southern States Initiative link in is there a zero tolerance policy that the ARG attendees know will protect them? Yeah, so again, it all goes back to respect the individual. And if you can't respect the individual, that's a basic belief at Walmart. And we Yes. The answer is yes. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to plug the Southern States Initiative because I think it's great. We attended it in Atlanta last year and loved it. We talked about, I'll just give it a plug. So when you look at the way LGBTQ people are spread across the United States, I think percentage-wise, the largest percentage population is focused in the South. The majority of our stores are in the South, which means the majority of our associates in the South. So connecting those two, we know it's important for us. Oh, do we require LGBTQ support from our suppliers? I am not 100% positive the answer to that question, I'll be honest with you. I work in capital strategy and management. I don't work in supplier management. I know that we have inclusive requirements for our suppliers. I know that I believe the answer is yes. Don't quote me on it. I believe that's one of the questions. I just can't remember the answer to that. I'm going to be honest with you. I believe the answer is yes. Not positive. Don't quote me on it. We like to call this family time. We're just honest with each other. It's family time. Yeah, supplier diversity. We have supplier diversity requirements. I don't know the ins and outs of them because I don't deal with suppliers personally. Jenny, yes. So not in the office associates. Yeah. So the store associates, they have a Walmart email. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we can email anybody in the company. So yes, they all have Walmart emails, and so most of them have access to that internet site, that social media platform inside. Yep. Is Pride on Demand accessible through an app or only at work? So it's only at work. We do have we call it Walmart One, that associates can access from their personal devices from at home. Doesn't require them to be on the clock if they're hourly. They can check their schedule there and things. And we do have, Pride landing page there that gives them information about Pride and how they can get connected. You have to fish through an app to find out or is it on its own. So if you log into our Walmart internet site called The Wire, you can type in Pride. It's the first response that comes up if you search it. And then same thing on our, we also, everywhere where it says culture, you click on culture, it shows you your CDI platform and it shows you all of our ARGs. They can just click on it right there. So 2 clicks, you can be on it. With Walmart One, same. So, culture, diversity, and inclusion. And then associate resource groups are in there listed in those resources. So it's fairly easy to find. Pardon me. It's really easy to find. And then we have that central contact email, which is pride@wall-mart.com. So any of those associates in the stores that have questions, don't want to maybe talk to their manager about it, don't want to talk to somebody in their facility, but they want to have a question answered, they can email that up. It comes straight to our leadership team. We can connect with them there. So. How does Walmart handle the idea that drag queens may be considered entertainment that takes away from the education? Well, I mean, this event, drag makeup with 101, it was entertainment, right? Makeup education, sure, we can call it that, but it was just a way to get folks together and celebrate. So you couldn't do it in person, we can do it online, and then everybody learned to do drag makeup. So we think it's important to have entertainment and celebration and engagement as well as education, right? We want to party sometimes too. Any other questions? Oh, I guess I should go to the last slide. If you have any questions I can help answer, if you want to connect, there's my info. Again, Katie Hartling, my pronouns are she, her. There's my Walmart email. Yes, I can receive external emails. And then there's my LinkedIn. So I'd love to connect with you all, follow up the conversation, continue the conversation in any way. Yeah, the fun event may get their feet wet and get them to come to an educational event. Well, yeah, and I mean, you know, some of us queer folks are pretty educated on our community, and we want to do the fun stuff too. So we like to party. Apologies. Yeah, so we like to mix in the fun and the fun and the education, and sometimes we do them at the same time. Sometimes we do them separate. So it's a good way to do it. I appreciate everybody joining today. I had fun. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned some stuff. And again, there's my contact information if you want to connect further, you have any questions, I'd love to continue the conversation.